Am I the a-hole for poking fun at my cousin's divorce after she insulted my wedding? I, 29 female, got married at 20. My husband and I were young, desperately in love, and super broke. I was never one to want a big wedding anyway, so we kept it small. I will admit, my cousin, 36 female, helped a ton with the decorations. I'm not one to be super into that stuff. I was fine with it just looking a little plain, but she wanted to make the day special for me and I appreciated it. I sang her praises the entire day, paid her for helping me after the fact, and literally made a speech the day of the wedding how grateful I was for her. I should also note she got married a few months before me in an extremely lavish, extremely expensive wedding. Her wedding day was actually perfect, and everyone still talks about it. However, she got divorced about 4 years ago. I'm unsure what has caused this, but now, anytime we are together, she makes fun of my wedding. She mocks how small it was. She mocks how corny the venue was. She insults my bridesmaids and my husband's family, and how useless they were the day of. I normally don't react because, honestly, I don't care about her opinion. However, today we are at a large Father's Day gathering with all my family. From the second she saw me, she started ragging on my wedding to her new boyfriend. I'm not sure, but something in my brain just flipped, and I said back to her, well, at least I'm still married. Everyone in my family is upset with me. They said I went below the belt with that comment, but absolutely no one has ever checked her for insulting me over and over and over. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She kept pushing, and she pushed too far. I'm unsure what has caused this. Easy. She had a lavish wedding and is now divorced. Your wedding wasn't anywhere near the scale hers was, and you're still, presumably, happily married. She's jealous, so of course instead of building herself up, it's easier to tear you down. She's an a-hole, and so is everyone else in your family. If they shut their pie holes when she was taking shots, they can keep their pie holes shut when you return fire. Here's the line. Now your cousin and family know not to cross it. Who the heck badmouthed someone's wedding? Not just that, but 9 years after the fact. Sounds like she might have narcissistic personality disorder. Rules for her aren't rules for you. She can insult you and pretend it's a joke, but you can't insult her as a joke. To answer your question, that makes her the a-hole, not you. I hope you and your husband have a wonderful marriage. Statistically, the ones that spend more on their weddings are more likely to split. That's true. In 1980, the decade of excess, a friend's daughter had a Hollywood-perfect wedding that cost an insane amount of money. The marriage was over in 4 months. Not the a-hole. This wasn't a one-off. She has been doing this for years. You needed to shut it down. My mom got divorced in the 80s. She had 7 sisters, all older. They were all still married to their spouses. They were always complaining about their spouses at gatherings when it was just us girls. Most of them had very toxic marriages. They used to demean my mom about how she couldn't keep a marriage going, broke a sacred covenant, blah blah blah. I finally lost it at a Thanksgiving dinner. Staying married to an a-hole doesn't make you a better person. Next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my friend's birthday party after she didn't let me in her house? I, 23 female, was invited to my friend Sasha's 23 female birthday party. It was for a Friday at 8:30 p.m. We would start at her house to pregame and then go to bars. I had worked that day from 7 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., but I really wanted to go, so I rushed home, ate dinner, got ready, and drove to her place. We were texting the whole day about the plans, and she seemed very excited for me to join her and her friends. I am acquainted with her friends, but not besties. I arrived at her house at 8:30 on the dot. I hung up the phone with my boyfriend and texted her to let her know I was there. She said okay, so I walked up and knocked on the door. I heard music and people talking inside, so I knew they were there. Nobody answered. I noticed she had a Ring camera, so I waved in front of it, knowing Ring notifies people's phones. Still, nobody let me in. I knocked louder and texted her that I was at the door, but I was neither let in nor texted back. I knocked even louder and started shouting, "Hey, Sasha, I'm here." I finally heard footsteps coming to the front door, but instead of letting me in, I heard the deadbolt lock click, locking me out. I walked away from the door and called my boyfriend to tell him what was going on. I told him my feelings were hurt and that I wanted to go home. He convinced me to stay and knock again, rationalizing that it was a miscommunication. I texted her again saying, "Okay, I'm out front." Sasha immediately answered, "Okay, sounds good." So I knocked again. No answer. I heard the music get turned down and Sasha say, "Guys, I think she's here." So I knocked as loud as I could and said, "Yes, I'm here. It's me." Footsteps came towards the door, and again the deadbolt sounded. The door remained locked, and the footsteps walked away. At this point, I had been knocking for 12 minutes. I was so upset and angry that I left and texted Sasha. "So I've been knocking for over 10 minutes and no one let me in, so I'm going home." She immediately called me, but I didn't answer because I was afraid I would say something out of anger that I would regret. She texted me that she looked through the peephole and did not see me. I think that's BS because she literally had a Ring camera. I told her that my feelings were hurt and I felt unwelcome. I did not receive an answer. Am I the a-hole for leaving? What could be the reasoning behind this? This sounds like they thought this would be funny, but it was instead cruel. Not the a-hole. Yeah, this is some mean girl BS. She literally didn't let you in the party. What were you supposed to do? If my friend told me she was at the door and I didn't see her, I would go outside to look for them. Not the a-hole. My advice to you is to not spend a whole lot of time thinking about this. Either they were deliberately not letting you in, or there was some sort of crossing of the wires. I don't know that it helps you to find out one way or the other. For your part, just maintain what is the true explanation. You did everything you could. All she had to do was open the door. If she's not willing to open the door and let you in, how much longer are you supposed to spend out there knocking, yelling, and texting? I tend to think that you were the victim of a prank committed by her besties. But again, I don't know that it helps you to find out one way or the other. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not reconciling with my wife's parents and her sister and kicking them out when they insulted me? My wife and I got married last year after dating for 7 years. My wife's side of family don't particularly like me, but we still got along for the sake of getting along. But a month ago, my wife and her sister had a huge argument, and my wife's parents took her sister's side. So I took my wife's and tried to calm them down. But that resulted in them directing their anger towards me. They said it's between them and I should stay out of it, but I didn't and said I'm her husband and I will defend her. We left and went no contact after they started insulting me. But today they showed up at my door, and I didn't want to, but I let them in for my wife. They kept discussing and they said they wanted to reconcile, and my wife said she will forgive but she needs time. They asked me if I am willing to reconcile with them. I replied, "Don't even think about it, and I don't even want to see their face." I told them that they should talk to their daughter and leave my home when they are done. They said that I'm talking like a child. I got angry and asked them to leave after we started arguing again. Her sister said that my wife should have a say as well. I told her to shut up and leave, and whatever decision my wife will make, she'll hear from her later. After they left, I told my wife that she should listen to me and cut this toxicity out of our life. But if she wants to reconcile with her family, I won't stop her but leave me out of this. And I don't want to talk to her family unless they change their behavior. My wife said she'll think about it, and if she reconciles with her family, she'll ask them to stay away from me. Am I the a-hole? I don't mind if they maintain their relations with my wife, but I just want to stay away from them. I won't force my wife unless it becomes too toxic for her. Not the a-hole. You really did not act like an a-hole for sticking up for your wife and then telling her toxic family where they could shove it. That's basic self-respect. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Any parents would be happy for their daughter if her husband is helping her and not tell him to stay out. I know I will. And what's the point of asking me if I want to reconcile and then insult me again and call me a child when I refused? Nah, man, you got every right to not want to talk to them again. Just 'cause your wife want to forgive, don't mean you have to. You said she can do what she wants, but you're staying out, and that's fair. If she respects you, she'll keep that boundary. Toxicity ain't family. Yeah, they don't like me and I hate them, so what's the point? My wife can forgive them and talk to them. They are her family, so it's her business. But I will advise her to stay away, but it's her decision. I won't force her. I will force her only if it gets too toxic for her or us. My wife respects that, and she keep them away from me until I forgive them. We both respect each other, come to a decision. Unless we are making a mistake, we don't intervene. I agree with you, but you and your wife need to come to some sort of an agreement before you have kids, because that will really ratchet up the conflict. You are right. When we have children, her parents might try to manipulate my wife in the name of having a relationship with their grandchildren. I didn't think about it at all, but I will now talk to my wife. If her family changes their behavior, then I will try my best as well for my wife and my kids in the future and forgive them. But if they don't change their behavior and don't respect me, then I don't know. I need to think about it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking out my nephew after ruining my bathroom and not bothering to clean it up? Okay, so I, 29 female, have been letting my nephew, Liam, 20 male, stay with me for the past month. He's finding himself after dropping out of college, and my sister begged me to give him a place to stay while he figures things out. I agreed, under the condition that he contributes to the household, helping with chores, buying his own food, basic stuff. Things were going okay, not great. He's a bit of a slob, always leaving his dishes in the sink, but nothing I couldn't handle. Until yesterday. I came home from work and went to use the bathroom. What I found was catastrophic. The toilet was clogged and overflowing, the floor was soaked, and there was, well, let's just say there was a lot of vomit everywhere. The smell was absolutely disgusting. I immediately started gagging and yelled for Liam. He came stumbling out of his room, looking half asleep, and I asked him what the hell happened. He mumbled something about feeling sick, and then just shrugged. He hadn't even attempted to clean it up. He just left it there. I completely lost it. I told him he needed to clean it up immediately. He started whining about how he wasn't feeling well and couldn't I just do it? That's when I told him to pack his bags and get out. I said I was done with his disrespect and lack of consideration. He got all huffy and called my sister, who then called me, screaming about how I was being unreasonable and kicking her poor baby when he was down. I held my ground and said he could come back when he apologized and cleaned the mess, but not before. So, am I the a-hole? I feel a bit bad kicking him out. But honestly, the sheer lack of responsibility and the fact that he left that mess for me to deal with was the last straw. Here's the twist, though. After he left, I started cleaning up the bathroom. And that's when I found it. A small empty baggie hidden behind a toilet. It definitely looked like a drug bag. Now I'm wondering if he wasn't just feeling sick, but was high or something. That makes me even angrier. So, am I the a-hole for kicking him out, especially considering the possible drug use? Not the a-hole. Do not let him come back to move in with you. He can live with his mom. If he has drugs and they're in your house, you can be caught up in it legally. LMAO, the audacity to whine about cleaning his own vomit. Like, if you're grown enough to do drugs, you're grown enough to handle the aftermath. Your sister enabling him is why he's like this. Not the a-hole. Update your sister what you found. Take a pic and do not let him back. She has to take him in. I'm actually curious why the nephew had to stay at the aunt's and not his own mom's, who seems so worried about her baby. Why did OP agree in the first place? He's not your kid, so not your responsibility. You are not that older than him. You seem a sensible and responsible person, but I think you made a mistake getting involved at all. I never babysit a full day for any of my nephews or nieces, despite the fact everyone knows I love them. It's about the fact that, am I prepared to be responsible for them doing something stupid and to get involved in the parenting? The answer is no. I want to be the cool person that they love, and not their substitute parent who they then hate if I had to yell at them. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not going to a friend's 25th birthday celebration after she left my wedding twice? A week ago, I, 25 female, married the love of my life, and we had a small ceremony with our families and close friends. For a little perspective, we had 8 guests plus the couple. The ceremony was max 45 minutes, and we only had the photographer for 2 hours. Everything was perfect. We had gone to a conservatory in the area and took pictures inside and out. Two of our friends, Bailey, 24, and Deb, 25, started to have their own photo shoot literally in front of us. I decided to cheer, "Yes, go Deb," to which she stopped posing and said, "Damn, that's so embarrassing." We finished couple shots and saw Bailey and Deb were nowhere to be seen. All of our families and other friends were very upset that the two of them left, but we just played it off like it was okay, and that is just how they are. The bar after party was just our friends, and we had rented an area for 2 hours, but the catch was we needed to hit a $200 bar tab minimum. Deb and Bailey show up late to the after party but seem happy to be there. They are talking to our other friends, and Bailey stayed to play games with us. Deb finds games embarrassing, and they are both drinking. Not a requirement for fun, but they love drinking. About a half hour into the after party, Bailey asks us what we'd be doing Friday and to not make plans because it's Deb's birthday. We had been looking to go on a trip that weekend, but it was not planned, so we said that we should be able to go. A few moments later, Deb comes back from the bar and is complaining how drinks were so expensive. A special cocktail was $12 and a draft beer was $10. A while later, my spouse wanted to get food, so we went to go look at a food truck, saw there was nothing she'd eat, and decided to get Cane's later. We see Bailey and Deb waving us down. Thinking they want food too, we tell them we aren't getting stuff here, and they tell us that a mutual friend was bartending 20 minutes away, so they were going to see her, but would meet us back at the house later. Keep in mind we live in a major city, and this friend is a bartender and has been for over a year. When we got back in the bar, one of our other friends, Kate, asked for Deb, and Bailey went because they told Kate that they'd be right back. So, of course, being confused, we checked the tab and they had closed their tab. Everyone looked at it fine, because we got to drink more and hang out longer with friends from out of town. We finished drinks around 11:30 p.m., only to get a text from Deb saying they aren't coming back to the house with everyone, they are going home. Well, my spouse and I decided to go on our last-minute little honeymoon weekend, which so happened to overlap with Deb's birthday, so we weren't able to make it. After letting Deb and Bailey know we couldn't go and why, they have basically ignored both of us and our texts. So are we a-holes for not going to Deb's birthday after they left our wedding celebration not once but twice? Now for the comments. Everyone sucks here. They weren't being good guests, but you don't sound like a great host. You should have covered the tab for the drinks after the wedding. You didn't even feed your guests. This needs to be higher. You had a wedding with 8 people. I've hosted bigger parties as a teenager and still covered the bill. Hell no. A 45-minute ceremony and you're making people buy their own drinks? You're not providing food even? Worst wedding hosts ever. You're the a-hole. Oh, and no food or plans for food. And the guests are supposed to stand around and watch the married couple get their wedding photos for God knows how long.